James Dean, a new kind of star. His movie career would last for just 16 months. He would leave us with only 3 motion pictures, yet his presence would be so dynamic, his work so extraordinary, it would earn him his place among Hollywood's immortals. James Dean was a complex person on screen and off. He was an introvert. He was an exhibitionist, a loner, a charmer. He played the congas. He raced cars. He was polite. He was rude. But whatever he was authentic. And millions of young people could identify with him. His would be the most spectacular but briefest career that Hollywood has ever known. Less than 2 weeks after completing his 3rd motion picture, James Dean was dead. The victim of an automobile accident. He was 24 years old. Nothing since the death of Rudolph Valentino would equal the mass hysteria that followed. Despite the evidence of the photos and eyewitness accounts, his fans refused to believe that he was dead. They claimed that the funeral was a charade and that his grave was empty. When threats were made to dig up the coffin, local police guarded the cemetery for weeks. Rumors surfaced that Dean was alive, but so badly disfigured that he was hidden away at a private sanitarium. People were just beginning to discover this new phenomenon called James Dean. At the same time, they were being told that he was dead. It was something they didn't want to hear. His house in the San Fernando Valley and his apartment in New York were ransacked for souvenirs. A bed sheet that he had slept on, a glass that he had touched, anything that was part of him. When the grotesque wreckage of his Porsche was exhibited in public, thousands of Dean worshippers came to see and touch it. But it wasn't enough. Slowly, they began to consume the car itself. Pieces of the soft aluminum were broken off and taken. Shards of glass were made into rings. Anything that could be turned into a sacred memento was. James Dean, the new promising actor, had now become James Dean, the new American Idol. No one ever captured the feelings of being young better than he did. The insecurities, the confusion, the loneliness. He expressed the anguish of growing up as no one had done before. James Dean was gone, but he wasn't forgotten. For 3 years following his death, letters addressed to Jimmy outnumbered the fan mail of any living Hollywood star. A further tribute was paid to James Dean when Tokyo businessman Seita Onishi erected a memorial near the crash site. The stainless steel monument reflects the actual site of James Dean's death. Mr. Onishi has also recently commissioned the creation of a new and massive 130-ton stone sculpture in his continuing work for the immortalization of James Dean. In New York, Dean fan David Lohr conducts a walking tour to show people the places where Jimmy lived and played. A few years ago, when Mr. Lohr started the tour, 8 people showed up. This year, there were more than 100. Each year, Jimmy's fans continue to come to his hometown on the anniversary of his death. It has now turned into a 3-day event, complete with a street fair, antique car parade, and a James Dean look-alike contest. In 1987, on the 32nd anniversary of his death, over 20,000 people came from all over the country and the world. James Dean's presence is stronger now than at any other time since the 50s. His image appears everywhere and on almost everything. He left us with an attitude, a style, and a face that was so commanding, so timeless, it has now become part of our culture.